2019 was the driest year on record in the Tweed Shire of northern New South Wales. Agricultural production declined, farmer welfare was impacted, and the environment suffered with land degradation, bushfires, and the emergence of pasture dieback. In response, Tweed Shire Council's Sustainable Agriculture program initiated a project to work with beef and dairy farmers to develop more drought-resilient farms. The natural environment is a farmer's greatest asset. By enhancing natural capital like soils, waterways and biodiversity, farmers can be better prepared to deal with extreme weather events like drought. Through this project, we've been able to help a group of local graziers to better prepare for drought through a combination of activities, including whole farm planning and on-ground implementation. The project has enabled these graziers to review and improve the layout of their farms to accommodate more rotational grazing, providing pastures with the vital rest periods needed to restore productivity. The project has supported graziers to increase water security by valuing natural bushland and the role it plays to supply water during drought, excluding cattle from waterways to improve water quality, and planting vegetation to provide much needed shade and shelter for livestock. Throughout the project, we've also had the opportunity to trial a number of techniques that improve soil and animal health, such as biochar as a feed supplement and the trialling of multi-species pasture to fill winter feed gaps in production. We've also been able to share project outcomes and farmers' experiences at a number of field days and workshops.
My name is John Quayle, and we're here at Mari Fields, which is a 165 acre property in the Tweed Valley Caldera. It's a grazing property. We've been involved in the drought resilient campaign through the Tweed Shire Council, which has been very interesting and been very successful. We've learned a tremendous amount from it. One of the most important factors, probably from our point of view, that we've learned is the size of the paddocks, the size of the area, and also being able to supply the water to those areas is not a simple job, but through the program we've been able to work out how we can develop the water flows to the troughs and that type of and these type of systems. And as well as that, we've been able to fence off the gullies, which has created wildlife corridors and riparian zones, allow the native trees and that to develop and to grow, which down the track will be very successful from an ecological point of view. So I think from a drought resilience, we've been able to make this property a lot more drought resilient than it was. It originally was the first permaculture farm in the world, established by Bill Mollison back in the 80s. And he put a lot of contours, swales and a lot of infrastructure in place. We've developed on that and expanded on his ideas, and we've created a property here that should really in fact prove beyond doubt that drought resilience is quite possible in the Tweed Valley. Well, one of the things that we did learn, the smaller the paddock size, the better it is for the whole environment, the whole ecosystem. And by moving the cattle on a regular basis, the area will regenerate a lot quicker, and we get a lot greater biodiversity. We originally, when we first started here, we had 165 acre one paddock, and now we have, I think, about 12 paddocks, and they will be cut up probably in the next few months to probably another half a dozen. So we'll probably end up with about 18 paddocks in this property, down from 165 acres. As part of the program, we realised that we did need to improve some of the areas of pasture, and we selected one particular area which we've called the green feed paddock. We've put in a lot of improved perennial winter grasses, and we use the soil key instrument for that, and that was very successful. We've now got an area which next winter will come back, and we'll have a substantial feed in one particular area should be needed. But we use that paddock as part of the rotational grazing system, and it's been proved to be very effective. We've also cut off a very large area of land where we've planted 4,500 native koala food trees, and these are around a migratory dam, and it's a very, very strong ecological area, very sensitive area. and we're finding that already that those trees are having a substantial effect in slowing down water flow. So there's no doubt in the future that that will also help to retain the water, retain the moisture in the soil through the trees, and add to the drought resilience.
My mantra for years has been that grazing livestock, and particularly cattle, are probably the most important tool that we've got to actually regenerate grasslands. If they're managed appropriately and in tune with natural cycles, managing to leave an appropriate amount of residual behind, they can actually be really effective tools to regenerate those grasslands. Given that grasslands are one of the most dominant ecosystems nationally even, how they're managed is really important in terms of the health of the whole environment. Minimising the effects of drought, which is really the genesis of this particular project. And of course, since we've started this project, there's been the effects of horrendous floods. And obviously, management is not going to stop flooding, but it can certainly minimise the impact, or at least alleviate a lot of the impact, if those grasslands are managed appropriately. I think a lot of people acknowledge that they could be managing their grasslands better, and that the actual step towards transitioning into a more regenerative approach to grassland management is a bit of a challenge. And I think a lot of people perceive that it's a costly and heavy on the infrastructure requirements, but there's lots of ways to manage to control livestock, without spending a fortune on fencing and water. But essentially, the bottom line is really to be proactive about managing the movement of livestock across the landscape, and really controlling the amount of herbage mass you make available to those livestock, but most importantly, what we leave behind after any graze event. I think people perceive that you need sort of 4 strands of barbed wire to control livestock, but if their nutritional demands are met, they've got enough food and they're comfortable, single wires are more than enough to control the vast majority of animals. Well, one of the first principles is matching stocking rate to carrying capacity. And so being able to actually measure herbage mass and be able to stock appropriately based on the requirements of your livestock. But in terms of really refining that and making optimal use of available feed, and really controlling how much you want to leave behind, actively planning to leave a residual, that's where the number of paddocks and the fencing comes into it. So the interaction between grazing animals, plants and soils is enormously complex, and I think it's really we underestimate the capacity of grazing management to actively and be proactive about changing the health of our landscape. It's what we leave behind after a graze event that is far more important than what animals take out during any graze event. So what we leave behind is actually building capacity in the landscape, building capacity in the environment. The philosophy is to grow more, use more and leave more.